Creepypastas. I thought I got rid of that. Nope, it's back. Today's episode might be the scariest story you've ever heard of. This is Theodore Tugboat, Lost Episode, Theodore's Bad Day. When I was young, there was this show I used to watch called Theodore Tugboat. It's basically a show where this tugboat called Theodore pulls barges, ships, and makes friends with other ships and vehicles in the harbor. Ships? Harbor? This is giving me some serious PTSD. I shouldn't have read this story. It's a very light-hearted show detailing the meaning of friendship and solving problems. The show ended production in 2001 and episodes from the series have been uploaded to YouTube. The absolute horror of uploading to YouTube. One day I was at a car boot not far from my house. It was packed with sellers and buyers, purchasing stuff here and others selling that. I came across a stall that had a few toys and electronics like PDAs and Game & Watches on, and DVDs. Game & Watches on? I walked over to the stall and had a look. Most of the toys were either broken or had some extensive use, while some looked brand new. Wow, there was older stuff and newer stuff, like any flea market or yard sale that's ever existed ever. I came across a DVD in a plastic case called Theodore Tugboat. I'm sure I watched this as a kid. I thought to myself, maybe I'll buy it. It will be good for the kids. There was an official release of Theodore Tugboat right beside this, but I thought, nah, I don't love my children that much. Only the cheapest bootleg crap for them. Excuse me. I asked the seller, who immediately walked over. How much do you want for this DVD? 87 cents, darling, she said. Oddly specific number. This bootleg DVD is worth exactly 87 cents. Don't question it. So I handed her 87 cents, thanked her, and walked away. I looked at a few more stalls before setting off for home. Don't you want to tell us about getting in your car, putting on your seatbelt, turning the key in the ignition, changing it from park to drive so that you could move your vehicle? I arrived at home and placed what I bought on the table. Then I turned on the TV. I waited for the TV to boot up first. Then I switched it to the DVD player. I opened the DVD tray and placed the DVD I bought into it. The DVD tray closed and began whirling inside. Yes, thank you for detailing every step of getting home and getting ready to watch a DVD. I sat down on my seat and waited for it to start, but then I realized I needed to take a shit first, so I went to the bathroom and dumped ass. This is where things started to seem off. Seems like there's plenty of things off with you before this, bud. The video started with the normal Theodore Tugboat intro. Well, yeah, of course, this is where things start to seem off. The normal Theodore Tugboat intro on Theodore Tugboat? What the hell? All the tugboats going to and from. But when Theodore came on screen, only the logo appeared and not the little rainbow that goes over him. Strange, I said. That never happened. So you had like a crystal clear memory of what the intro should be, even though you looked at this DVD and were like, I'm sure I watched that. The episode skips straight to the dispatcher talking to the tugboats the harbor master has never seen. Good, stupid harbor masters. The camera panned to the tugboats huddled in a group near the dispatcher. The episode was called Theodore's Bad Day. Much like this has been Old Man's bad day. Tugboats, he started. An oil ship is coming into the harbor today. George and Emily, I want you two to dock him into Dock 12. George and Emily vroomed their engines in approval. Just then I thought I need snacks to watch this, so I went to my kitchen by walking with my feet to get chips. I would tell you the harrowing tale of how I had to open my cupboard to get said chips, but we need to get back to the scary children's show. Theodore, you will be pulling Barrington as usual, he added. Theodore whistled to say, yes, sir. Voduk, you will do your normal safety patrol, the dispatcher said. Okay, Voduk said happily. Hank, there's no work for you at the moment, so you must stay in your dock. Hank looked a little disappointed. No work? He asked. Not at the moment, the dispatcher said, but if there is, you'll be told. Hank smiled. Are you sure the title of this episode wasn't Theodore's Boring Day? That is all. The dispatcher finished and turned away from the tugs. Then the camera shot to all the tugboats leaving. As they were leaving, a picture of something flashed for a frame before disappearing. Hey, what was that? I said, puzzled. I immediately wrote down what I had said to my television because I knew this was all such good stuff. I wound the video back to where the tugboats began to leave. I moved frame by frame until the picture came up. It was Theodore from the opening sequence, but his eyes were full black, no pupils inside, and the picture was black and white. No color! I was terrified beyond all rational thought. Well, okay then, I said and continued the video. The next scene showed George and Emily bringing in the oil ship. It was just a repainted version of Cumberland. You like our harbor, Emily said. Yes, George added, the friendliest harbor around. This is indeed a very good harbor, the oil ship said. Well, okay then, I said again, making sure to write down all my clever remarks to the stupid tugboats. Theodore had finished pulling Barrington barge and was heading over to see the big oil ship. Wow, Theodore thought, this is a very big ship. This is where the horror begins. Begins? I've already been terrified beyond all rational thought at this story. The camera then zoomed into the deck of the oil ship and transitioned into a dark tugboat resembling Theodore. The tugboat was looking on the water, crying. What was disturbing was that this wasn't acting crying. It sounded like genuine crying. Have they never watched anything with decent acting before? He began to slowly get up. Get up from what, the water? Then he revealed his face. It was covered in dents, cuts, blood was everywhere, and his eyes were bloodshot. He struggled to float again, grabbing at the deck's railing as he got up. Then he looked directly into the camera. I began to feel uncomfortable. What? I said to myself. Wow, everything they say is gold. I'm glad they noted that. Then he spoke, and oh God, it traumatizes me to this day. His voice was very low-pitched and demon-sounding. I'm taking everyone to hell, he spoke. Wow, that's about as strange as the rainbow not being on the intro. He then produced a matchbox and got a match out. The camera zoomed in and he lit the match. Well, I was wondering where he was going with that. Glad they told us. He then staggered to an oil tank and turned to the camera. The camera zoomed into his eyes and he said, "This is true suffering." Scene changed back to the models. The tugboats were in the harbor. This is my dock, I suppose, the oil ship said. Indeed it is, George said. Guess they're not concerned with the hellboat over there with his matches. The tugboats began to move away from the ship. Then something flashed up for a frame. Oh boy! I paused, rewinded, and played frame by frame up to the picture. It was the same picture as before, but this time Theodore's mouth was missing and blood was streaming down his face. A message was at the bottom. It read, "Death is imminent." What the hell is this mess? I said. Seems like someone's really poorly written Theodore Tugboat fan fiction, while also occasionally cutting to someone watching it without anything useful to say, old man said. Suddenly, it shot to one of the oil tanks on fire. Emily looked up and saw it. Fire! Fire! Emily shouted, "We must get Fodak!" George then sped away. Then a black screen popped up with some text on it. It read, "But it was too late." It then shot to an entire view of the harbor. Then there was a massive explosion. It engulfed the set and sent the camera shaking violently. I jumped at the explosion. I wasn't expecting it at all. What, did you need the evil tugboat with the matches to say, "I'm gonna blow something up with these"? The video faded to black. Nothing happened for 5 minutes. At first, I thought the video has finished. I can't tell you how many times I watch something and just sit there watching black for 5 minutes just to make sure it's not over. Thank God, I said, and walked to the DVD player. As I was about to get the DVD out, I could hear some faint screaming coming out of the TV speakers. Oh, so it isn't finished? Well, crap, I said and sat back down. No one is forcing you to watch this, dude. The scene faded back into the same view as before, but this time the big harbor was nowhere to be seen. All that could be seen was a cloud of smoke. The smoke then lifted and then revealed a horrific sight. The big harbor was destroyed. But all I could think of was, where was the rainbow on the intro? The only things left were Benjamin Bridge, some docks, and a few of the background buildings, which were all burnt up. The screaming was getting more and more audible. The camera then panned round the harbor, showing the destruction. The dispatcher was almost destroyed, and only a few remains of a shell were remaining. Then it panned into a heap of boats, all destroyed with their eyes missing and completely burnt up. It was unsettling because some of the main boats were in the pile, like Petra, Digby, and Rebecca. I would think this is a pretty standard children's show if those boats weren't in the pile. Then, along with the screaming came a moaning noise, something similar to the fan-made Suicide Mouse video. You know what they say about mentioning a better creepypasta in your shippasta. The camera then faded to where the oil ship was docked. Only its hull was floating in the water and the rest of the area was destroyed. It's almost like a giant explosion had happened. Then the video went to static. It stayed static for 20 seconds as I sat there counting each second. I thought of saying something like, "This does not seem quite correct," but I thought I'll hold it in for now. Before showing the same Theodore picture from before. This time it was a lot worse. Why do they keep saying it's the same picture, then saying actually it's a lot different though? More blood was coming out his eyes and his mouth was still missing. Then I noticed that small red pupils were showing in his eyes. Are you kidding me with this stupid Sonic.exe bullshit? Hope this ends with a plushie flying out of the television at them. As the picture was shown, the sound of a heartbeat could be heard, and an off-sound violin could also be heard. Then some small text faded on the bottom. It read, "This is true suffering." Yeah, for the reader of this story, at that moment I wanted to stop the video, but curiosity got the better of me and I continued to watch. Classic moronic protagonist of one of these things. Then another picture flashed up for a frame. I paused and went back to the picture. It was a destroyed version of Theodore. He was so mangled and broken, he was almost unrecognizable. I continued on, and suddenly more images flashed on the screen. I paused and went back to look at the images. Wish I hadn't. This is a real don't know what I expected moment. The pictures consisted of dead children, either decapitated, mangled, or missing body parts. Yeah, that's just classic Theodore Tugboat for you. At the last image, I ran to the toilet and threw up. I thought to myself as I vomited, this has to be fake. It has to be. But it was too real to be fake. I've never seen a movie with good acting or with good special effects, I guess. I went back to the TV and continued. You fucking idiot. The video stayed on the image of Theodore for a few more seconds before changing to black. A loud scream came from the speakers, which made me jump. Then the end credits began. I immediately stopped the video and ejected the disc. What the frick was this? I shouted to myself. I only really got upset at this once the end credits came up because I wanted more of it, I guess. I immediately went to the computer. I had to find out what was going on. I searched in Google, "Crappy Theodore Tugboat Creepypasta." It said, "You best start believing in crappy creepypastas. You're in one." Theodore Tugboat, lost episode, no results. I guess in their crappy version of Google, they missed the Lost Media Wiki entries on the episodes of Theodore Tugboat that were actually lost. It might have actually helped the story a little to include something about that. Maybe you should have done that search you said you did in your story for real before writing it. Then I typed Theodore Tugboat deleted episode. Nothing. I decided to search Wikipedia. I went onto Wikipedia and searched for Theodore Tugboat. I browsed the page. Eventually, I found something. One episode of the show was never aired due to it being unsuitable for children. The episode has never been discovered to this day. It is believed, though, that this inappropriate episode has been burned onto DVDs to be sold at flea markets for 87 cents. My heart skipped a beat. Could what I had just watched be just that? I immediately called the people who own the show. We talked about Theodore Tugboat for a while, saying how good it was and how I enjoyed it as a kid. Guess they're just always up for randos calling to have a chit-chat about the show. Then I mentioned the episode Theodore's Bad Day. The person talking immediately changed his tone. "Where did you get that video?" he said urgently. "From a car boot," I said. "What the hell were they thinking?" "I swear we destroyed all evidence of that episode," he said, sighing. I guess the allure of making 87 cents is just too much for some people. "But I want to know why it was made," I said. "That's the purpose of this call." "You could have got to the point an hour ago," they said. "It is confidential business. I cannot tell you anything," the person said. "Listen, destroy the DVD and forget it ever existed." "But why was it made?" I asked again. "I'm not telling you," he said and cut me off. Well, I guess this mystery will remain forever uncared about. I put down the phone and looked at the disc. "This is too important to destroy," I said. "Thank you," the disc said back to me. I placed the DVD back into its case and placed it at the back of the cupboard. That'll be a nice surprise for the kids one day, I said. Then I sat back down and watched the news. A few years have passed. What was the point of telling us you watched the news? And the DVD is still at the back of the cupboard, and I haven't touched it since. I think no one cares about it anymore. Well, I certainly don't, so I'll probably throw it away later today. I must get to the bottom of this mystery. One person said they wouldn't tell me. I give up. I know I told you many years ago that you were too important to destroy, but I lied. But even if it is gone, I will still have the memories of the video, the harbor exploding, the destroyed boats, and the dead children. But the last image of Theodore is the one that has been stuck in my head for years. Those red pupils and his black, soulless eyes and the black and white of the image are truly terrifying. Jeez, I prefer color movies too, but it's not that scary. It is truly one thing I will never forget for years to come. Well, you know the one thing I'll never forget is that you watched the news after.